So, Alex, thank you very much for taking the time to come on. Before we get into this conversation, I like to ask a few warm-up questions so the guests and myself get to know you a little bit better. So, because this podcast is called Run Fast, Lift Heavy, I want to know, do you prefer running fast or lifting heavy?
100% lifting heavy, definitely. I hate
Yeah.
running.
Okay, which book has had the most influence on your life?
Good question. I would say Meditations, Marcus Aurelius.
hmm
100%.
Cool. Okay, what 3 movements would you program for yourself in a birthday workout?
In a what workout?
Birthday workout. So you just want to go and do
Yeah,
something that makes you feel good.
a push, a hinge,
Yeah.
and a pull.
Ah, good choice. Good variety there. Okay, what 3 things make you the most happy in life?
Good question. I would say there's a lot, Most happy. I would say music, piano
hmm
is amazing. Going for a good walk in nature, pretty
Yeah.
hippie like that, and then a good workout, of course, or
hmm
some kind of getting a good sweat on session. Yeah, those 2
Cool.
things.
And then the final warm-up question. So this is actually from my previous guests.
Yeah,
Putting you on the spot a little bit. What is something embarrassing that's happened to you recently?
something embarrassing. I'm too cool. I don't get embarrassed.
I thought that was going to be the answer.
No. Honestly, embarrassing things happen to me all the time.
hmm
Put me on the spot here. Maybe an awkward conversation with a stranger at some point. You know when you leave the gym and you go
Yeah.
say goodbye and then they blank you and you're just
Uh,
like
and then you replay it as well.
sometimes, but
No.
then I'm just like that's human, so I laugh about
hmm
it. But I think that's probably the most recent embarrassing thing. But if you could call that embarrassed, but yeah.
Mm. Cool. Okay, so Alex, what do you do for the audience that don't know you?
Yeah, so I'm an online health and performance coach, and we help predominantly at the moment business owners and entrepreneurs optimize their health so that they can perform better, feel better, and basically make more money as well. That's what we're
hmm
currently doing at the moment. I'm an online health and performance coach.
And when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up? Because I can't imagine a health and performance coach being the answer.
Yeah, well, I actually number one was a graphic designer, and I actually
hmm
still think I should have done that even to this day because I'm still pretty quite good at it. I think even with
Yeah.
no training, um, but it would have been a mechanic because I always like fixing things, always took things apart. So I always
hmm
believed in follow your passion, you never work a day in your life, which I think is actually really bad advice. I'll get to that later. Um, but yeah, so I started fixing things and I thought I'll be a mechanic, HGV. There's a lot of money to be made in New Zealand. So I get my qualification. But that's actually what I wanted to do for my adult life. But then obviously that changed to where I am now. But yeah, I actually wanted to be a mechanic, fix things.
hmm So you left school, and then did you pursue that?
Yeah, I pursued it for 3 years, the apprenticeship. And honestly, it was the worst, quite traumatic, one of the worst years of my life. I mean, being a teen, being a young man as well, older teen is, I think for a lot of people is very difficult.
hmm
Um, but you're put into this hole. I think it's like you don't even know what you want to do when you're 25, maybe even 30. Some people don't even know what you do, 40, let
Yeah.
alone being 17, 16. And you're like, right, go and pick something that you want to do for a good, like at least 5 years. It's quite daunting. So I
hmm
did that. And the whole time, it was just like, I had this kind of realization when I was doing my shift as a mechanic, as an apprentice. And it was like, is this it? Is this the pinnacle? Is this what you do? 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you wake up 5 a.m., go to work reluctantly and do this job and get paid pretty much pennies as well. Like even when you're
hmm
qualified, it's like, it's not worth the time or your health or anything. And I was just like, it really scared me. I was like, fuck, I can't do this. Like, so then I started looking at other avenues to make money. Instagram was one of them at the time with like online coaching was 2016, 17. So it wasn't even everyone and your grandma is an online coach nowadays. But back
Yeah.
then it was like wasn't really a thing. And Instagram was so easy to grow. So I would just post whatever. I actually got in shape for the first time for like a lad's holiday. I
hmm
used to be like pretty like chubby before that, and I was like, I'm gonna do a proper cut. And the recognition I got for being lean, I was like, whoa, this is addictive. Like this is cool, right? So then I started posting pictures on Instagram, like just whatever in the gym, like progress stuff, and it was so easy to grow. Got a bit of traction with that. I had an old account that I deleted because I wanted to start fresh with this new coaching account, essentially. Um, and yeah, from there, I actually got a job in London as a social media marketing officer. Quit that job, and then started a RET with Mo and
hmm
Tom. And then parted ways because my coaching was naturally, it was the better choice to go down, like selfishly for me. Like it was just doing really well. And I was like, I need to do it all out. So I went from RET to now Bristol here, full-time online performance coach in the past year, doing really well, and I love it. So yeah, that's how we started it.
Yeah, it's funny you speak about, being in a job you hated but seeing no way out. I remember when I was at uni, I did a summer working at a building society, and it was like a really hot summer, and people were just sat inside, wouldn't want to go outside at all in their lunch break, or complaining about the job, but I would still go every day. And I was like, it didn't make sense. Like, if you hate it so much, why are you here? And for me, that was just a sign not to go down that avenue, because I saw what would happen, 5 years time, potentially earn like 40,000 a year, but not enjoy it. And for me, it wasn't worth spending that much time in a job that you hate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people stay in jobs they hate. And you know what? My old friend who was a mechanic back then, and he's still doing the same job now. And he said to me a few years ago, I was like, oh, you got out, man. You got out. And he said like he was depressed and whatnot. And I was like, obviously it's not nice, the situation you're in, but I also really firmly believe like you are the creator of your own life. Like no matter how bad the cards have been dealt, like you can either bitch and moan and be a victim, which is going to get you nowhere. Because at the end of the day, I actually got depressed at one point. Guess what? Nobody gives a fuck. Like I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but wallowing in self-pity doesn't get you anything apart from maybe a few likes on a Facebook post about how you've been depressed and about how you're on medication, which you don't actually need to be on, which is a whole nother story. But yeah, it's like, I think you've got to help yourself, and people stay in routines and stay in jobs because of comfort. It's once you've got that job, you've got that salary at the end of the month. Yeah, you can bitch and moan on your coffee break with your colleagues about how this job's shit, but you'll stay there because we're creatures of comfort and we pick the path of least resistance. So I always remember like you're more motivated by pain than you are by pleasure. So try and use that when you're trying to get a new job or something else. So that's why, like, if you ever lost your job, it's actually like probably one of the best things that can happen to you. Might not feel like at the time because you're put up into a corner. We're like, fuck, I've got to make ends meet. I've got to find a new job. And often the case, and one door closes, another better door opens. So I think trying to use that as well when people are trying to get out of these ruts. If you're young and you're like, fuck, I hate this job, put some constraints on yourself. You've got to go out there and fail, because what's the worst that's going to happen is you'll end up right back where you are now, like the very worst case scenario. But I think a lot of people just get caught up in comfort, and I also think they get caught up in like the small town mindset. Like, who are you to be an online coach? Like, I had people poke fun at me and like, who are you to do RET? Like, oh, that's cringy the way you make these videos. And now later, like, they come back and like, oh, what you do is really cool and blah blah blah. It's like, you weren't there when I was, being the loser, but now you want to know me. It's funny. So I think whatever you're gonna do, just go for it, because eventually I'm gonna be dead one day. You're gonna be dead one day. No one really cares. Like, it's like, there's people on the street who do like street performance, and maybe you find it really cringy that they are able to sing or something, or like they're doing some weird thing, and you're like, fuck, that's so like, I couldn't do that. As soon as you walk around the corner, because human beings are so self-obsessed and so self-centered, you don't care. Like, you're over it, right? And it's the same thing with the person on Instagram, or you embarrassing yourself and putting videos out because you want to start a YouTube channel or podcast, or any job that's like you're scared of doing, but you're scared of because of the judgment of others. I always remember that nobody gives a fuck. Like, you might feel like they do, but trust me, you're not that important. Like, no one's thinking about you, right? It's like those people who put on posts about Facebook. It's like, don't underestimate me when I'm down. Like, no one's underestimating you. Like, nobody cares. Like, I'm too like concerned about my well-being to think that about Derek down the street who's posting these pictures on Facebook about how he's like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, he's gonna no one cares. Like, you're not like so. Case in point is like, just go for it, because if you fail, no one's gonna care. So you might as well just go for it, because one, you're gonna be dead, and two, no one cares. So I think going for that job opportunity, or just, as I sometimes used to say, just fully sending it, always proves more good than harm. So people just need to get past that barrier of fear, because it's sabotaging you.
So speaking on that, did you have people to go and live with when you accepted the marketing job? Was it in London?
Yeah, it was in London. I got it through Instagram. It was kind of a weird culty job. Like, it was really, I left because I didn't enjoy office work. I hate the hierarchy of office, like licking arse and like who you have to people please. Like, I can't do it. And I left with actually no exit plan, which I don't actually advise. Like I just left because I just couldn't cope with it. But then like put me into a spiraling pit of depression because I didn't have an exit plan. I moved back home, and then you just end up like a man child with nothing to do. So I wouldn't actually advise that. But yeah, I went to London to do that job for about 6 months to a year. I can't remember. And yeah, like I was living in Westminster. They had it all paid for me. I was on good money. And again, I still had that feeling of like, is this it? Is this what we're supposed to fucking do? Like walk on the underground with your suit, and everyone steps over each other. And I feel like on the underground, like if you were to have a heart attack, people would literally step over you just to get to their bullshit meeting. And it's just so heartless. So I was just like, I can't, like, is this what life's about? Is this what you do? You make money and just do this, rinse and repeat. So yeah, I left and I was like, right, I'm gonna regroup and try the online coaching. Whilst I was doing that, Mo Samuels had the idea to do this RET, and I was like, you regret the things you don't do. So full send it, I've got nothing to lose. It was actually quite scary to go move all the way to Plymouth, Southwest, which I'd never been before. But that actually was the catalyst for all this now. So if I wouldn't have taken that scary risk of, I literally moved out with, I think like £500 on my name. So I was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. I don't know how I'm going to make it work. I get a job in Plymouth. I don't know. So, but I just went for it. And things work out in the end. You know, you'll be surprised when you're backed up into a corner. You will find a way and make a way. And people don't realize that if they're pushed into a corner, you're going to make ends meet, and you need to. That's why I think you should just go for it because you'll be fine.
I want to know where your desire to be better came from, because you look like, well, you seem like someone who's always just wanting to push the limits of their own existence, like do better every single day. Where did that come from?
I don't know. Maybe good question. I think in school as well, I've always been the competitive one. Don't know if it's testosterone. Always been competitive. Always enjoyed sports day. Always been like, I can do it better. I'll always one up you. Always been kind of perhaps maybe brainwashed by Action Man, thinking, you know, men have to be really buff, which I do think actually men should work out. But like, I was definitely influenced with like, that is a man, and that's the epitome of a man. So perhaps childhood. But maybe again, it could just be testosterone. But I've always had that innate desire to be like, from a young age, like I don't want to be a failure, or I don't want to be. I've seen what some people live like, and it really scares me to live like that. Like in standard. Not saying there's anything wrong with 9 to 5, but a lot of people in 9 to 5 statistically hate the jobs. There's people out there, the good amount of people actually that love the 9 to 5, and I think it's a great way to make a living if you can find it. But a lot of people are doing jobs that are soulless, they don't enjoy, and that's always scared me. And I've always thought, like, if you want to have the finer things in life, you've got to work for it. Like, if you want to be better looking, you've got to be disciplined with your diet. You've got to go to the gym when you can't be fucked. You know, if you want to have a nice girlfriend, you know, you've got to look after yourself. You've got to approach women. You've got to put yourself in comfortable situations. If you want to progress your career, you've got to do things you don't want to do. And I think that's always been, I've always take that as a key indicator to self-develop, is like, well, if I want the best things out of life, paradoxically, I've got to do the hard thing. So that's why I think I've always like picked that route, because it's like, well, why not? What other options do you have in life? You can either be a victim to life and let it sway you around because you're soft and you're brittle and you're a victim, or you can get better with your mind, with your body, with everything, and you can actually reap more from what you can get from life. Does that make sense? So I think that's why I do what I do, is because what else are you going to do?
I think building on from that, like, positive change happens when you're outside of your comfort zone. You know, when you're at the gym, when your heart rate's at 200 beats per minute and your face is red, that's when you're going to get fitter. And when you're on like a chest press and you feel like you can't physically get it off you, that's where the muscles are going to be built. And 100%. It's the same thing, you know, with your career. When you're reaching out to people, for example, reaching out to you on Instagram, you've got a lot more followers than me. You've got, I'm sure, a few more clients. But this is how I'm going to get better as a podcast host. This is how I'm going to grow my podcast. And I didn't want to message you, but I'm so glad that I did. And that's where the change will happen.
100%. People shy away from it. And like you made a prime example of the bench press, for example. I'm convinced that 90% of people train like pussies, and this is why they don't get the results that they want. They think they train to failure. And the clients that come to me, and if they're businessmen and whatnot, they don't really care about the physique necessarily. They just want to feel better and look better for their kids or whatever. But when I say, when I ask them like, do you train to failure? Like, yeah, I go to failure. We get them to record a bit of form feedback videos. And it's like you had 5 reps left in the tank. And
Yeah.
it's just, people have no idea what they're capable of. And again, I don't know if this is a genetic thing or a mindset thing, but there's some people like my partner Amy. She's had that innate, like I did from a young age. Even from the first day I started the gym, I would go for that extra rep without even being taught. I was like, because I see it as a challenge, like I like it. But some
Yeah.
people, and when I used to PT, they just, as soon as it gets difficult, like, oh, I can't do it. They shy
Yeah.
away, and I'm like, that's where you're gonna, facilitate growth. That's where you're gonna cause the response for growth, and you've just shied away from it. And then they'll
Yeah.
blame genetics, and it's like, I do think the majority of people are just pussies nowadays. Like they just
Yeah.
don't try hard enough, because I believe you can have anything you want if you just, a cliche, but platitude. You can have anything you want if you work hard enough consistently. It will happen, right? It's just a mindset.
Yeah. I read that Muhammad Ali used to do sit-ups and push-ups, and he would start counting his reps when it started to like
Yeah,
physically hurt.
yeah.
And
I
I
think it was
think that,
yeah.
yeah,
I think it
I
was
think that's
Arnold
an
that did that
awesome
as
way to
well.
do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, because that's what your body is, an adaptive machine. Okay. So it has no other reason. Like I said, we take the path of least resistance. So it doesn't want muscles. It doesn't care about being lean. It just cares about surviving in its environment. So you have to give it a reason to grow. And I think they think that if there's a program and it says a stated 8 to 10 reps, if they just do the 8 to 10 reps, it's like that's a success. It's like, no, that's just like a guide, and you should be failing within that, or at close to failure within that stated rep range. People just seem to think that you can bypass that, but either way you spin it, whatever program you have, and people get caught up in the minutia of, oh, this rep range and this exercise, and maybe I should use cable, maybe I should use these cuffs and whatnot, maybe this is what's going to get me extra growth. It's like, I'm convinced you can build a great physique with just, say, calisthenics. If you see these calisthenics people, they're jacked, right? Do you think they have these fancy Cybex machines? And it's just, I think this is another excuse that people use, that like, you don't need the best like programming and whatnot. It's literally just a case of progressive overload, which is by default going to incur you getting, going to failure. You to get stronger, you have to get that extra rep, which is going to be painful. But people seem to shy away from that. And whatever program you have, doesn't matter how good it is, if you're not continuously pushing yourself, obviously with some method behind it, then you're not going to be growing as much as you could, or be progressing as much as you could. And likewise in the gym, but also in life as well, like a difficult conversation, or you reaching out to me, or me reaching out to potential clients, that's like our sales call or something. If you're shying away from it and procrastinating, then don't moan for the results that you didn't get because you didn't put the work in that was necessary.
Yeah, totally. So to someone who is scared to take that leap. So let's say they've got an idea in mind, or they want to lose 20 kilos, or they want to start a business, but they're just too scared to. What would you say to them?
Okay, so number one, I would say obviously plan a little bit. So what's it called? Cost benefit analysis or functional analysis. So weigh up the pros and cons. Always do that with anything. So think, okay, if you want to move out, and I think most people, if you're living at home as well, I know we're in like basic economic crisis and inflation and everything, but still, nevertheless, that's no excuse. I think you should move out anyway. Always weigh up, for example, if you want to move out. Okay, if I move out, here's the pros. So, independence, able to be my own person, not held back by old habits, able to do this, X, Y, Z. Here's the cons, like pay bills, but then you could say, hang on a minute, reframe that. That's actually a pro, because that's teaching me independence and about, managing money. So you do all that, weigh all that up. And then I think it's just a case of having a little bit of savings and then just going for it. So essentially just planning, but then just executing. And don't get too caught up with the people over plan, people overthink. This is why we got that tattoo, like don't think, do. It's like just stop overthinking things and just do it, and you will be surprised by how you just find a way as you kind of run before you can walk, I always say.
Yeah.
So people just need to do that, because yes, if you fail, that's still a lesson in and of itself, right? So you can always go back to the drawing board, remember that lesson, and then attack again with whatever you're doing. If that's a business, if that's moving out, whatever endeavor you have planned, you just need to plan a little bit, put a bit of method behind the madness, but ultimately you just need to jump. And I think people are scared to make that jump, like bungee jumping. People are scared to make the jump, but you just do it. Stop. You keep. The more you think about the jump, the less you're going to jump, right?
Yeah.
But if you just don't think do, if you just okay, just go for it. It's the same with a business endeavor. You might make an absolute fool out of yourself. You might, the business might fail, but the amount of lessons you will learn in that, and then you can apply that to the next business endeavor. Because right now, most people in the 20s and 30s, you have a shitload of time to fail. You don't have a shitload of time to fail when you're 30. It's pretty ugly if you meet a 30-year-old or 30-plus-year-old and they don't have much experience in life. It's like, what the fuck have you been doing? But when you're 20, it's like, you're fine, you're young, it's endearing, like, go and fail. So you have all the time now to do that. I would say don't waste it in sitting back and hypothesizing and think, I want to start a side hustle, but I'll do it next year. I think just try it. I'm not saying it has to be successful and you have to have it all mapped out, but just go for it, dip your toe in the water, and then eventually just jump anyway. And you'll be surprised. Give it 3 years or anything. I always say the golden rule for anything is give it a solid 3 years, like online coaching or business endeavor. And if it hasn't worked, cut your losses. But I often find that if you're just persistent enough and with a clear plan, or a relatively clear plan, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think as well, the more that we can seek discomfort in everyday life, the more, like, the easier it becomes to push yourself outside of your everyday life. So what I mean
you begin
by
to
that
callous
is,
the mind.
yeah, so like ice baths are a really good example of this. The more you can put yourself in a really uncomfortable situation for a controlled amount of time, the more you get used to being stressed in your daily life and, being in situations that you don't want to be in.
Do you do ice baths?
Yeah, I did one before this.
Oh, really? Fair enough.
Yeah, and it's like, sitting on an assault bike in a gym, like, it's so uncomfortable, so horrible, but you will get used to what it feels like to be stressed.
Yeah, 100%. And go on.
Sorry, no, you go.
I was going to say that transfers over to the mental aspects. So the physical thing of sitting in an ice bath, or like I take cold plunges whenever I can, or even the sauna, hot therapy or cold therapy, or sitting on an assault bike. That, like I always say to clients, it's callousing the mind. You reframe that as an opportunity to get stronger mentally. Like, okay, physically it hurts, but that's, if you can sit in that pain, that I believe that transfers over to approaching a girl, like doing a pitch at a business meeting. Like, it transfers over to being comfortable in the uncomfortable. And people, like I said, people shy away from discomfort. So if you can get comfortable in discomfort, who's going to win? You're the one who's going to be able to do whatever you want in life, pretty much.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, I think that in life, there's the three main pillars for health are training, nutrition, and sleep. But I want to ask you, what other habits have you put in place in your life that have taken you to the next level? So you've spoken about cold plunges. I know you read and what's helped you?
Sleep. I know you mentioned it there, but sleep is like insane. And people think they get good sleep. They're so adamant when we get like on a call with a client, or I get good sleep, like I get 8 hours, or I don't wake up throughout the night. We get an Oura ring on them, or we use something else to measure it, like a Whoop band, or you could even use something like an 8-pod Pro, which is a bit more fancy. But then we look at the REM sleep and deep sleep specifically, and we find that they're not sleeping any more than, say, 30 minutes on REM sleep or whatnot. And you can think of REM sleep as like repairing the mind, and deep sleep repairs the body, essentially, in very layman terms. And if you get on top of those 2 points, like deep sleep and the REM sleep, your strength in the gym is like ridiculous. It's like insane. Like, you don't need a pre-workout. You just need really good quality sleep. Your ability to articulate yourself and have like you're less anxious. You have more energy. It's more sustained. And like literally everything, your blood glucose levels, so your energy as well, but also your cravings for stuff. So fat loss becomes much easier. It's like a plethora of benefits. And if pill was in a sleeping, if it was in a pill form, it'd be worth billions and be the best-selling supplement. But because it takes a bit of effort, and it's not really cool, it's not sexy in this day and age of hustle culture and whatnot. It's not really shouted about. But that was one of the paradigm shifts for me, like with the coaching that we've done. I'm really diving into sleep for these entrepreneurs and business people who really need it. I mean, even fitness people, even people who want to get in shape. Like, the first part of our coaching is sleep. Get it sorted. You want to lose fat, you need to nail your sleep first, because it's gonna be a hell of a lot easier. So sleep has been the biggest thing, I think, when it comes to health performance. Is just like invest in your sleep, because you spend a third of your life in bed. I think it's like 25 to 30 years you spend in bed, right? So why would you not, spend the extra on a mattress or a pillow, or make sure the room is cool and all these things? And if you get on top of that, like literally almost everything else falls into place. Like your job, you'll make more money, like you'll be more confident, like you'll be more articulate, like you'll look younger, like higher sex drive, like everything is improved with sleep. But people just say, I get 8 hours, I'm fine. It's like, we live in a day and age, like, the light bulb, like you can't say you get good sleep unless you're putting in certain parameters, like blue light blocking glasses, and the room is cool to like 18 degrees and whatnot. So yeah, sleep is the biggest one.
Yeah, one of my early episodes was with a sleep doctor, and he worked with the RAF, and he's like head of neuroscience at Surrey Uni. And the biggest tip that he gave me, and it's really worked, was just going to bed at the same time every night if you can,
Yeah.
and waking up at the same time. And obviously, it's so hard on the weekends, but when you get that dialed in, it becomes so much easier to fall asleep, and your body will just reprogram itself.
Yeah. Consistent sleep and wake time. It's not sexy, but it is like, it will change your life. And like you said, on the weekends is really difficult because everybody goes out, you want to stay up and watch a movie or something. But your body likes patterns and it likes routines. And if you're upsetting that routine or pattern, it takes a while to get back into the routine, and that's going to negatively affect your energy throughout the week as well. So yeah, like you said, consistent sleep and wake time is a golden rule as well.
What would you say to someone who wants to start building better habits, but says like, my friends want me to keep going out, on every Friday night, or they want me to eat shit, or they don't want to, go for a cold swim with me? What would you say to them?
Yeah, we get this all the time with clients. So number one is, if you want exceptional results, if you want anything above average, you've got to do what the above average person does, or you've got to do more than what the average person does. So if you want what everyone else has got, then just keep doing what they do. If you want something more, then you're going to have to do something more as well, or you're going to have to abstain from something, right?
Yeah.
So if people are going out every weekend, unless you want that kind of life and what they do, go for it. If you want to have that extra, you've got to give up something. It's just how the cookie crumbles. You can't have your cake and eat it. And you're a product of your environment. So number one is realize that you're going to have to sacrifice something, really. But there's an easy way to do it. So you're a product of the environment, including your friends. Start hanging around with people that actually want to do a side hustle, that actually want to, have healthy habits. If I hung around with people who go out every weekend, I'd be going out every weekend, even though I have this business. I would, right? So you've got to set up constraints, including friends, and maybe being a bit ruthless about this, and thinking, you know what, do I really, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. So look at your friends. Do you really want to be like that in 5-10 years? Because you will be, whether you like it or not. Or, you've got to really audit that, because you've got to be quite a snob, really, because that's going to dictate your reality. So if you want these healthy habits, perhaps start with your environment, your friends. And again, if you're living at home with your parents or something, if you're younger, all more reason to get out, because it is holding you back from becoming the true person that you want to be. So healthy habits is one, realizing, you've got to pick your sacrifice. If you want above average, you've got to do the above average. There's no, you can't cheat that. You've just got to do it. To make it easier, number two, surround yourself with people that want that as well. And you are naturally, if you hang around with millionaires, you'll be a millionaire by default eventually. And conversely, if you hang around with bums, you'll be a bum eventually as well, pretty much.
Yeah, it's so easy to meet people as well. If your goal is to lose fat, but the people that you're around, it's not conducive to your environment, join a run club. Most of them are free, if not very cheap, in most cities. Or go to the coast, and I'm sure you'll find a group of people that are swimming at 6 a.m. on a weekday. Like, you can find people. There are people out there. You just have to, make yourself a little bit uncomfortable, reach out to them, and most people want to talk to you. And most people will want to help you as well.
Yeah, again, it just comes back to that theme of putting yourself out there. Everybody expects the other person to make the first move. Why don't you be the person to make the first move?
Yeah. Some people might say to you or think that, okay, Alex, it's all right for you. You work for yourself. You have the power to design your day. You can train when you want,
Yeah.
eat when you want, do what you want. What would you say to them?
I would say you didn't see what happened before. Like
Yeah.
I was where you were. I did the apprenticeship. I didn't get any money from my parents. I didn't go to uni. I moved out with £500 to my name. I took a risk, right, and it paid off. But it wasn't through it wasn't through sitting back and poking and pointing the fingers at like he or she's got this and you only got this because of inheritance or you only got this because of it's easy for you to say, right? Because that's again, people love doing that because it absolves them from the responsibility of their life.
Yeah.
So it makes it so much easier. But well, it's not me. It's not my
Yeah.
fault. It's because
Yeah.
this circumstance is out of my control. It's like bullshit. I think no matter how bad your life is or how bad the cards you've been dealt with, you can do something about it. It might take you longer than others, but there's no point comparing your step 2 to someone's step 10, right? So people who say that to me, it's like, well, the proof's in the pudding. You can go back and look at my posts, or happy to tell the story, but I didn't get anything handed to me. It was all through a bit of risk and a bit of perseverance and a bit of just self-belief as well. Not that I'm some kind of amazing aspiring person to look up to, but I definitely think from where I've been, like I'm 27, I'm not exactly the youngest person to be doing what I'm doing, and it's taken a while. It's taken a lot of trial and error. I didn't get it right the first, second, the third, or fourth time. Went from being a mechanic to social media marketing officer, to RET, which was like a web platform for people who want to aspire to get healthy habits and whatnot, to now doing the online coaching, which is kind of another chapter now, because now we started out with just fitness coaching, but now I'm doing more business owners and entrepreneurs to help with their health and optimize that. So it's taken a lot of course correction along the way. And only now has it really started to pay off. Like the past 6 months, probably 2 years, has it really started to boom. But people only see the end result and judge you on that and be like, oh, he was lucky. He was lucky he got that. Like, but I was in a 9 to 5. Like I had no money to my name at all for a good amount of years. And people only see the end result. They don't see all the trial and error because no one gives a fuck about the losers. We idolize the people who are at the top. That's why Instagram does. That's why Instagram encourages narcissism. It's because that's just how it is. But yeah, I think I can safely say I haven't had anything handed to me. And you know what though? If you have had something handed to you, fair enough, fair play, because it's difficult enough in this day and age. And why would you not take something? Okay, as long as you're still willing to work hard. So there's no reason to like discredit someone, because at the end of the day, a lot of things are just luck in life as well. Right place at the right time. You can improve your luck through consistency, being in the right place at the right time, but it does you no good. It might feel good for your ego to be like, oh, you had it easy, or like you had this given to you, or you were in the right position to do this, that's why you had that. I've got depression, or like my mom's got cancer, so like it's difficult for me. It's like it's easier to take that route, but you're doing yourself no service, and you're just fulfilling that victimhood. It's instead of being like, you know what, fair play to you, mate. Like I'm going to learn from you. I'm going to ask you a few questions, because success leaves clues. That's what I did. I used to ask people, and I surround myself by people who are doing better than me, because I think if you are in a room in which you feel like you're the best, you're in the wrong room. You need to, and that's difficult though, because your ego gets in the way so many times when it comes to doing anything you want, no success. So it's like, if you are surrounded by people who you feel like you're superior to, are you going to grow? Probably not. You've got no reason to grow. If you surround yourself by people who you are like admire and you aspire to be like, you're like, oh wow, this guy's making 6 figures or 8 figures, or he's doing this with his coaching, or this guy does this with his fitness. It's like, that's a better place to be in. So instead of trying to bring people down and be like, you had it lucky, you had it whatever, maybe say, oh, that's awesome. What did they do to do that? Let me have a look at their profile. How did they do that? I'm going to actually ask them a question. Maybe they'll reach out. Next thing you know, they sent you a voice message of how they did this, X, Y, Z. That's planted the seed for you, and you've used that as fuel for growth, rather than solidifying your victimhood and being like, I can't do anything about this, and if they were just lucky.
Yeah, that's exactly why I started this podcast. I had the opportunity to speak to Olympic gold medalist, an insane bodybuilder and business owner in Josh Bridgman, a neuroscientist, so many really cool people, and all just because I've reached out to them. And I really didn't think that people would reply to you. But I'd say out of every 5 messages I send, at least 4 get back.
Yeah.
And people do want to help because, like you said, everyone's started somewhere. No one's born, unless you're like born into, unless you're Kim Kardashian's daughter or whatever. No, not many people are born into this spotlight of fame and success. You have to work for it.
And you got to ask yourself as well, on the flip side, do you really want the easy path? Do you really want to be born into it? Because I feel like, generally speaking, you meet those people who were born into the riches or just basically inherited a lot of stuff and never really worked a day in their life. They don't have a lot of character to them. They don't.
No.
They're quite judgmental. They're extremely snobbish, and I think you should be a snob actually, but they are like to the point of literally thinking they're above everyone. And they don't appreciate you. I think you have a degree of you get a lesser satisfaction from life from it because you don't appreciate things. Like for me, I really appreciate things like my office setup or getting a new phone. I'm so appreciative of it because I remember what it felt like when I was in school. I didn't have a phone. I couldn't afford one until I was like 17. I was really late to the game. And even then it was like a shitty little Android, like really, really bad phone that people bullied me for. So now it's like, I'm grateful for the struggles because I really appreciate, like, I think that's partly due to like gratitude practices as well, which is really good. Like with meditation, you can compound that. But I would say, do you really want the easy life? Because you probably won't be as grateful for it. Whereas if you've worked for it and you've come from essentially rag to riches, or from a point of, struggle to a point of success, it's as cliche as it is, it's the journey that makes it enjoyable. And it's going from, it's not the end result. Because you've got to remember as well, I always remind myself of this. My past self 2 years ago would absolutely kill to be in the situation I'm in now. If you would have told me 2 years ago, you'd be self-employed, you'd be running a successful coaching business, you'd have this, you'd have that, you'd be moved out, everything, I'd be like, no way, that's amazing. Like, I would be so satisfied. And yet here I am, because of human nature, hedonism, we always want the next best thing. And people don't realize that. Like, so yeah, I think it's important to remember that perhaps your struggles will be your silver lining, or will be actually your blessing in the long run. Like, be grateful for your struggle because that's going to build character. What is the Stoic phrase? It's like a gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man without his trials. So I always see life struggles as, I reframe it as like, okay, this is a test, right? How can I benefit from this? How can I get better? So I think, some people might be born into riches, but maybe feel a bit pity for them, a bit sorry. You're not going to derive as much pleasure from life. But you, on the other hand, if you stop being a victim and actually persistently do something about your life, no matter how bad it gets, and almost learn to be grateful for your struggles, in the end, you will be happier and you will actually be more grateful because of your struggles. And it's a bit of a paradox the way that works, but I find that's the case, is just your struggles is what makes life worth living for in the long run.
Yeah, totally. Alex, to finish off, I would like you to come up with a question to ask my next guest, please. Okay,
what kind of question?
Well, so recently they've just been a bit random. So it's been what's your favourite steak, or what I asked you at the start about an embarrassing story, but it could be anything at all.
Okay. Think about this. Let me think. I had a good question. I got asked this last time a few months ago on about 6 months ago. We did a podcast. I had a great question. I'm trying to remember it. Can't think of one. What's better, tea or coffee?
Okay, good one.
We'll go with the cliche.
Coffee. Okay, where can people find you, Alex?
Yeah, you can find me most on Instagram, LinkedIn, and soon to be YouTube. But for now, it's just Instagram. Oh, Twitter as well. We just started Twitter.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate it. I feel really motivated after this conversation now.
That's good. Motivated on a Sunday, hey? Well,
Yeah,
thanks, Phoebe. It's
totally.
been a pleasure.
No worries.